All right, guys, welcome back to Vanguard. This is Kermit here. Unfortunately, Greg's out of town, so you're stuck with me for the day. Behind me is a 72 GMC 4x4 pickup in 72. That was relatively rare. I mean, we're going to go through our typical thing. We're going to show you the outside of the truck, the inside of the truck, underneath it, underneath the hood, take you for a cruise. I mean, that's about it, guys. Let's go four-wheeling. All right, guys, on the front of I mean, of course, obviously it's been restored. Brand new, beautiful, like robin egg blue kind of a paint job on it. It, of course, obviously, you know, the grille looks like it's in excellent shape. Brand new bumpers on it. Looks like newer wheels, or I should say at least tires. Looks like the wheels actually look original. Brand new wheel well liners, and you're going to see that when you get up underneath it. I can see a brand new steering box. I actually put that in there myself. I was the mechanic that actually took this truck through its process here, so I can vouch for everything on this thing. Everything is tight and right about it. I went through a lot of things on this. You can see that we even have a functional dome light. We're going to go through that in just a second. I mean, the bedside, you can see the paint. Whoever did this paint job on this truck, they did a pretty darn good job. I mean, generally these trucks, especially being a long box, generally it was probably actually used as a work truck, and it survived very well. If you look down in the bed here, you can see, I mean, normally, I mean, people throwing shovels, toolboxes, boulders, or God knows what in this thing. Generally, these things get really ate up, and it's in excellent shape. I mean, downright unbelievable. Tailgate works excellent, of course. You can see here all this. Often here you'd get a lot of rot, especially as leaves and stuff would collect along this edge right here, and you can look right down in there and look how pretty that is. All the way down in there. Even people with modern trucks, I see 2012s to 2016s that are starting to get like that. Of course, brand new chrome bumper on this thing. You can see here, I mean, all the lighting and all that stuff works. I mean, this thing has functional, of course, obviously brake lights and turn signals, but the reverse lights even work on this thing properly, neutral safety functions. All of these side marker lights work. Relatively new exhaust up underneath it. You're going to see that in just a second, of course. Same good looking wheels over here. Come around to this side of it here. I mean, functional door locks. Open here, you can see we got a brand new weather strip in the truck. Once again, dome light working on this side as well. I love the two-tone paint on this thing. It really, really sets it off, especially with the robin egg blue. I mean, it's just a very nice, very pretty color combination. And of course, this side's every bit as good looking as the driver's side. Let's take a look at the interior. As you can see here, underside of the door looks really, really nice on this thing. That's something I always check for, and especially it being a truck, you know, people generally don't seem to care as much, it being a work vehicle, but you can see that. It looks factory fresh right there. Even the lip, you can see nice definition in the lip and everything. Carpet obviously looks like it's been replaced, and this truck very well might not have even been equipped with carpet from the factory. You never know, but it obviously has had carpet put in it at one point. We have a functional ammeter here for the battery, functional temperature gauge. The speedometer does work, fuel gauge does work, oil pressure gauge does work, and by the way, this is a modern GM crate motor that is in this thing, so you don't have to worry about any issues with that. This thing comes with the engine, of course, comes with the GM warranty, if I'm not mistaken. You can see here that we got a brand new steering wheel on the thing. The horn is functional. You can see here we've got, even like everything in here is absolutely beautiful as far as the paintwork goes on the roof. Looks like brand new sun visors, brand new mirror. That AM radio, I actually got that AM radio to work. It actually has a brand new speaker in the top, some relatively correct wiring in it where I had to do a little bit of it to get it functional, but it does work just fine. Same thing with the heater. The heater is all working. All of the slides feel nice and lubed up where you're not having to fight all of it. It's actually this thing is a pleasure to drive. It really is. There's also some goodies underneath here that we're going to get to in just a second. And while we're here in the interior, I'd like to show off something else. That cargo light right there, brand new wiring harness and bulb. Boom, it does indeed work. All right, well, that all being said, that's just about all there is for this side. I guess we'll check out the driver's side, or I should say the passenger side, just so I can show you the inside of the glove box and all that stuff, and then we'll move on to the driving video. All right, guys, the glove box. Does even have the sticker here as well, and of course it's all been completely redone. Brand new liner in the thing. You can get another good look at this side of the interior. The pad's in really good shape. Defrost vents are up there. Look like they had been replaced at one point, and they do work, of course. Weather stripping on this side is in really good shape, as you can see. Looks like the door jambs over here are in excellent shape. Door bumpers are there. Give yourself a feel underneath this door, and once again, it feels every bit as nice as the driver's door. Fuel tank is behind the seat in the factory location. No one's monkeyed with it. To me, that's a big positive. I mean, underneath the dash, I've been under there a little bit, and I've made some things, made a couple corrections under there, and I'm actually not too ashamed of the wiring under there. It looks pretty halfway decent. It still maintains a lot of the original wiring. Once again, no one's monkeyed with it to a degree, which to me is a big positive. Outside of that, there's not too much more of the interior I need to show you guys. I guess let's go take this thing for a cruise, and it does drive well. All right, guys, we're taking our old GMC out for a little drive. Like I said, just about everything in this thing works. I mean, we even got full-blown functional AM radio. This is the stock radio for this truck. We do have functional heat, which I'm going to turn on because it is a little bit cold. See here, so these guys don't know that I'm honking at them. Horn works just fine. Got excellent oil pressure. Like I said, it's got a brand new engine in it, so that would explain why we got such good oil pressure. Temperature gauge is functional, running nice and frosty. Battery gauge does work, although the battery's got a full charge. You're not seeing a whole lot of deflection in the gauge. We do have a functional speedometer. See here, functional windshield wipers, low, high. Turn them off and they do indeed park. Brakes work great as this UPS truck is backing in. Of course, I've been through the brakes on this thing personally. I can vouch everything in there is right. It's got a brand new master cylinder on it. It's got a brand new, everything in the rear drums I've been through on this personally, and it's good. It's got all new flex hoses on it. Now this is, if I'm not mistaken, a 290 horse engine, so it does have some giddy up and go. Doesn't sound half bad either. Let me see here, what else do we got going for us in here? I mean, outside of the fact that it actually tracks pretty straight, it is scheduled for an alignment on our digital alignment rack. You notice the steering wheel is just a smidge bit off. That is going to be corrected. Like I said, we got a brand new power steering box in this thing, brand new power steering pump. I mean, it's pretty much been gone through. Of course, we do have dash lights and stuff like that. You can't see that here today with it being as nice and bright out as it is, but if you can't see that, or even our high beam indicator does work on this. Let's see here, it looks like the sun visors look like they're just about new on the thing. The thing shifts great. Turbo 350 automatic 3-speed transmission. Coming up to our yield sign here. If you guys want to actually come in and see this truck, take it for a little cruise, and then once again, take hands off the wheel. Perfectly straight stop, just as it should be. Power steering is, I mean, just look at this, 2 fingers. Not bad. If you guys would like to come in and see this truck, make sure to give Tom a number at the number below, or give Tom a call at the number below, I should say, and take it for a drive. I guarantee you're going to end up falling in love with this thing, especially if you like just good old honest trucks. You're going to really love this thing. It's very well put together. Just overall a pretty nice build. Give the brakes another test. Just that simple. I would get a little more rowdy with this thing, but this is in our subdivision here. But this thing actually is not that, it's not bad for as big as it is. As far as the speed goes, it's actually pretty good. We got all of our indicators working here. As far as our turn signals go, the self-cancel, I just heard the cam click. And as I straighten the wheel, I'm sure it's going to click itself off. Indeed it did. I mean, it don't get too much cooler than that, guys. So like I said, we're going to go and throw this thing up on the hoist, and I'm going to give you guys a good look at the underside on this thing, and there's a lot to see. It's actually pretty nice under there too. So stay tuned. All right, guys, this is the underside of the 72 GMC pickup truck. We pulled it in here on the hoist.
As you can see under here, you can tell that the underside of the bed on this is in really, really good shape. Of course, it has looked like it's had like a rhino line job done underneath it, which it looks pretty darn good under here. It doesn't look like they undercoated over top of anything that was scabby that I really can see as far as the bedside goes. Up in the wheel well, looks like they're in good shape. As far as axles go here, this is a GM 12 bolt. Judging by the date code on this, I'd have to say this is I'd have to say it's the original rear end for the car, or truck I should say. It is an open differential, and it is about a 373 to 1 gear ratio on this. Of course, as a truck, you want a little bit lower gear ratio. On either side of it, drum brakes. I've been in both of these personally, and I can guarantee that they're in good working order. I've actually gone through them. I made a nice set of brand new brake lines for this truck, as you can see. Of course, I put a brand new whip hose on it as well. This line right here is in excellent shape. You can see that our exhaust looks like it's in good shape as well. Looks like brand new hangers on this thing. Outside of that, it looks like everything back here is in good shape. You can see we also have a brand new bump stop, or I should say in good shape bump stops. They more than likely are original to the truck, but they're not dry rot, it doesn't look like. Actually has a vent hose on the rear differential. As far as the U-joints go, I've checked all those. I've greased everything. Everything is in good shape there. Coming forward to that, underside of the cab here does look like it's in pretty good shape. Looks to be relatively stiff on this thing. I don't really see anything that's too scary here. I do see a patch right in this area right here. It looks like somebody has put in there. Outside of that, this side looks like it's in pretty good shape. All the drop downs for the cab, all that stuff looks nice and solid on it. As far as the transfer case goes, this is a new Process 205. The transfer case is a 72. Well, the transfer case was cast and assembled in 1972, so, but it was very late in 1972. Therefore, I do not believe it is original for the truck, but it is period correct. So at least that there is that. The assembly date on this, if I'm not mistaken, was December 12th, 1972, and the casting date was sometime 1972. So there's that. As far as transmission goes, what's hooked up in front of this thing is a Turbo 350 3-speed automatic transmission. Shifts just fine. We do have a inspection cover on this thing. Coming forward to that, this is a Dana 44, which is what should be in this truck, and it does indeed have open differential with same gear ratio that would be in there. In fact, it's actually a smidge bit taller gear ratio. You want the front end to pull a little bit as opposed to the back end to push, just 4x4 mechanics. It does have the vent hose on it here. As far as leaf springs go, as I had mentioned before in the showroom part of the video, these are brand new Eaton leaf springs that I put in this truck, and of course, you know, they're nice, like I said, brand new. It comes with brand new bushings, both front and rear. We've done the shackle bushings on this. I've greased the whole front end on this truck. Everything seems to be right and tight about it. Brand new steering box, I had mentioned before, and of course, everything's been checked out nice and tight. Let me see here. Disc brakes in the front, I've looked at them. Of course, brand new whip hoses both here and here. Brand new shocks. Looks like the pads are new too. Looks like GM, just the typical GM discs on it, and they look like they're in pretty good shape, and there's no reason to replace it with anything that's of lesser quality that you would get from the auto parts stores. Outside of that, that's just about does it for the underside of this truck, and I'll tell you more about the GM crate motor when we get up top. Let's check out wheels and tires. All right, for wheels and tires, we have a 31 by 10.5 R15 with just a stock style wheel on it. It does have these really cool actual hubs on this thing where this would be free, and you actually just spin them in order to unlock them and to lock them. So that's pretty cool, and of course it's got the matching set on the other side. Let's go check out the rear. All right, back here we have the same good looking size, 31 by 10.5 R15s. Of course there's no locking hub back here, but 6-lug truck, which is indicative of something that's a work truck. And of course the tires look like they're in fairly decent shape. I guess it's time to check out the 350 under the hood. Okay guys, this is the Chevy small block 350 underneath the hood. You heard me mention in the showroom, this is a GM crate engine. Of course, it's been kind of dressed up a little bit from the factory. You can see we do have a nice intake manifold on this thing, an Edelbrock dual plane intake manifold. Nothing too crazy. Of course, this is a 4x4. You want a little bit of down low torque, so it's not a big old Hank and Victor or something like that on it. On top of that is a Holley 600 CFM 4-barrel carburetor. That carburetor has straight boosters. Of course, it's brand new. Aluminum body carburetor too, I'd like to mention. It's a 4160 model. Let me see here. It has just a single pump, which would be a vacuum secondary model, straight boosters, electric choke, actually wired correctly into the stator of the alternator, just how it should be. What else can I say about that? Electric choke, not too much more other than it just runs really well for what it is. Outside of that, we got a brand new radiator in this truck that we put in, brand new upper and lower radiator hoses that we put in, and of course brand new water pump that went in with the motor. Belts look like they're all in pretty good shape. Alternator looks good. All the wiring in here, I've actually cleaned it up a little bit. As you can see here, we've got some nice loom on all the stuff that would be, you know, hanging out in the open. All this stuff over here is actually relatively clean, as you can see over here as well. All of our vacuum lines and all of our hoses for our squirters, all that stuff is actually very neat. It actually does have the fan shroud still on it. I actually made a brand new fuel line for this thing as well, as you can see, with the nice EFI hose clamps. Let's see here, functional heater, as you saw me say in the video there. We do have actually all the original OEM type hose clamps all over this thing, so you don't have to worry about any of the ghetto worm clamp AutoZone type stuff. Over here, you can see we got a brand new battery that we just put in this truck. Once again, the wiring here has been cleaned up quite a bit, considerably since, you know, from original to stock. It does have a clutch fan on the front of it too, which is a nice thing. Outside of that, just a pretty clean truck, and this engine from the factory produces 290 horsepower is what this engine is rated at. We have a couple slight performance things on it. It might make a little bit more, but I'm not going to say for sure. But outside of that, a very clean truck, a very honest truck, and I will say that honestly, as I worked on this thing, I actually kind of fell in love with it. And if you go out and drive it, you probably will too. It's actually a very nice, honest old truck, and I don't know, it was a pleasure to work on. So that all being said, if you'd like to have it in your driveway, or you know, on top of your driveway, or top of your neighbor's car, quite frankly, it's a pretty big truck. Make sure to call Tom with the number below. Let Vanguard Motor Sales park your dreams in your driveway.